12 noon in the Gambia. Good afternoon and welcome to the Riverside News on Yomi FM, broadcasting on 94.0. Here are the top stories. Honourable Sallah declares no imposition on PDOIS for election run. Trade Union's Secretary General urges Motai to convene Joint Industrial Council's meeting to address minimum wage urgently. Also on the program, the NCAC Director discusses Ten Jangu and its healing powers from the colonial era. Details of these stories and more are coming up shortly. Many thanks for joining our broadcast and a warm welcome to our listeners across the country. Riverside News begins with Honourable Sallah, Secretary General and Party Leader of the People's Democratic Organization for Independence and Socialism, PDOIS, who asserted that he could not impose himself on PDOIS for an election contest. Here is more in this report by Usman A. Maran.
Honourable Sallah, the Secretary General and Party Leader of the Opposition People's Democratic Organizations for Independence and Socialism, DOI, a socialist political party in the Gambia, in a bold statement during a radio program on West Coast Radio called Coffee Time with Peter Gomez, has reflected the democratic values of his party by declaring no imposition on DOI for election run. Sallah, who was upholding the principles of democracy and party autonomy, said the question that continued to be asked and their significance so at least a force that he, Sallah, needs to convene, while the other force was saying he should come back to active politics. Here was Honorable Sallah decodicating the two forces.
Question that must be continued to be asked. The significant thing about the question itself and what you have just read shows at least a force that I need to convince. But the other force, which is saying I should come back, let's leave those ones. I've told the whole country and I know the demand for Sallah to come back. And I want those people to understand that these two issues that he has raised, one from a very intelligent and refined way of putting it, and the other a crude way of putting it. And I know the crude person who is actually putting it in that crude way. There is no problem. We know that this is not an issue for DOI. It has been settled within our party that Sallah cannot bring himself back to contest election. That's not the DOI way. DOI selects its presidential candidate through a primary. So no one knows who is going to be a DOI candidate. And even if Sallah wanted to be a DOI candidate, Sallah cannot impose himself on DOI. So this matter is settled within DOI. DOI members, true members of DOI, know very well that no person can be a presidential candidate by imposing himself. And that for 3 consecutive elections, Sidia Jatta was the candidate and not Sallah. So Sallah is not an issue for DOI in terms of whether he will or he will not be the next candidate for the party. I hope that is clear. DOI does not have that problem. Anybody who tells you that there's an internal problem in DOI, know that that is not a fact. Now, going to the issue, Peter, I said that I am done with standing for election before the presidential election. I said it, and not only saying it, I said it with real contemplation and content, because my conscience became clear. What I have always struggled for, I achieved. At the age of 16 and a half, I became tormented after hearing Stokely Michael with Mary Makeba speaking to a group of people at Crab Island School, showing the suffering of the people of African descent and people in Africa. And the question became, who will liberate us? Will something drop from the sky to liberate us? The answer was no. Who will liberate us? We must do it ourselves. When we say we, I am part of it. I made that commitment at that early age that I will live day and night to work for that. Nobody has ever seen me sitting somewhere chatting since I came back into this country. Nobody has seen me seek pleasure anywhere. Nothing has been my work in this country than to learn and practice the work and the suffering of our people.
Honourable Sallah speaking there. Meanwhile, the Secretary General of the Gambia Trade Union, Mr. Gaba Cham, has called on the Honourable Minister for Trade, Regional Integration and Employment,